Yes, that is an opening right there. Man, I wish I had hair. So when I'm doing this and you can't see it, my hair is actually bopping around like in the 80s, like Twisted Sister.
Did you ever have hair like that?
Not that long, but I had it feathered and stuff to where I carried a comb in my pocket like all the kids did in the 80s. And between classes, I'd have the mirror in my locker and feather it back and stuff. And it was,
So, what we may have to do one of these shows is do like a retro picture so that they can see Andy Smith with not only hair, but feathered hair.
Feathered. It was feathered. That was a thing. You would tell the barber.
I'm well aware it's feathered hair.
You would tell the barber, feather it up good.
And then you came into the mullet phase.
I never had a mullet.
I remember walking in and I wanted one of those haircuts. And I walked in with it was Long Shot. I think it was like X-Men
oh God.
10 with the comic book. And I said, this is what I want my hair to look like. And she goes, I've been doing this for 25 years. You are the first person who's ever walked in with a comic book and said, give me that haircut. And it worked. I looked like Long Shot.
And did you also tape your two fingers together so you could have three fingers like Long Shot?
I did not. She wouldn't understand that.
Yes.
Or I'm not like Kurt Warner, and have three fingers just naturally.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Super Bowl quarterback Hall of Famer Kurt Warner.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You're not like him either.
No,
Kurt
definitely
Wagner. Yeah, that's Nightcrawler.
Yeah, that's what I was going with, not the quarterback.
You've got football on the brain because it's Pat. Oh, wait a second. Heidi ho. Welcome to the Dennis and Andy Show. I can't forget our intro. I'm Andy.
And I'm Dennis.
You should know that by now. But for everybody that's new, we like to refresh people's minds. So anyhow, what happened this past weekend?
Football happened. One of the greatest games ever in the NFL. Oh, wait. No, it was the Bucs in Kansas City.
Maybe it's a 5-year thing. And what I mean by that is if you watch the Super Bowl, you realize it was a snooze fest because the Bucs just rolled over the Chiefs so badly. It's not even funny. But 5 years ago when it was the Broncos and the Panthers, it was the same type of thing, wasn't it? Didn't the Broncos just roll the Panthers pretty bad?
They've had a few snoozers, but when you have a bad game, we always had to look forward to the commercials, an interesting halftime show. What did we get this time? C, D, none of the above.
Well, I didn't.
If you were a Tampa fan or a Kansas City fan, well, no, only if you were a Tampa fan did you enjoy this game, or a Tom Brady fan.
Right.
Seriously, nobody else enjoyed this game.
Well, in this household, my daughter's a Bucs fan. We're rooting for the Bucs. So needless to say, go Bucs. We're very happy. But one thing I was thinking of when the game was over, the Chiefs were so bad, it couldn't help me but think that if the original Native Americans fought as badly as the Chiefs played, it's no wonder they got their asses kicked.
You mean we just watched our own little bighorn?
Right.
Oh my God! I can't believe you went there.
It sums it up so well. The Chiefs played so bad, the Native Americans are now going, you know what? You're right. You guys need to change your name because you are definitely giving us a bad name. The Chiefs is actually complimentary, but no, forget it. In fact, let the Redskins have their name back. We'd rather have that than what the Chiefs just did.
I sent Andy a 15-second meme that my brother had forwarded, and it's basically Pirates of the Caribbean, and he's running. Jack is running, Sparrow's running for his life, and it says Patrick Mahomes.
Wait, you sent that to me Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's
oh my God, it is so funny. And then there's the Bucs defense chasing him down. It is so hilarious.
Hold on here. Let's just see. I might be able to get it. Oh my God! Of course, this one-time messenger's taking forever. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, if we could play it, dude, it's funny.
I gotta see if I can get full screen.
It's funny. And I'm like, but that is what the game was. It was a horribly boring game with horribly. I thought the halftime show was a snoozer. Now the little kids that were all over, they were excited, really excited for it. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Let me
get it?
Pause it and get back to the beginning. All right. We'll show it to you because we're in a sharing mood. This was basically the game.
So unless you're Bart Sears or some of those guys down there, you know, that were down in Tampa who were giving crap throughout the game, yeah.
So sad.
But seriously, that sums up the highlight. Or one of the guys had sent one, and it was, here's the Kansas City Chiefs highlight. And then it's got this music playing, and you see the picture of the, you know, the Chiefs emblem, and then it switches, and you think it's going to highlights, and then it says, thank you for doing it.
It is literally, I told Courtney about it. It's because it was on Twitter, and she's not. And I told her, I said, it is literally 8 seconds of 8 seconds of just the Chiefs logo, and it says like Kansas City highlights, and it just stays on that for 8 seconds.
It says, "Thank you. We'll see you next season."
Thank you. We'll see you next season. Yeah. I mean, that was
the highlight. So the only thing, it was not only a horror game. The commercials were, for the most part, very forgettable, and the halftime highlight, everybody was bored. It was just seriously.
Well, see, I like The Weeknd, and I like every song because, you know, whenever they do the Super Bowl,
the songs.
Well, that's my point. When they do the Super Bowl halftime show, it's always the artist does a compilation of his hits, of their hits. So, you know, 5 songs smashed down into like 5 minutes or whatever. And every one of those songs I like, but the show itself,
correct.
Somebody said that the guys wearing the masks looked like they were wearing jock straps.
They literally, that's what everybody said where we were. They were like, why is everybody running around with jock straps on their head? And I'm like, oh my God, this is just.
Well, and then when he went into like that hall of mirrors, it legit looked like he was lost. Like, you know, the cameraman is like literally as close as I am to you.
Yeah.
Right. But it really did look like he was lost, and he just had no clue where he was going, which I'm sure that wasn't the plan.
So boring game, boring everything. The only highlight is if you're a Bucs fan, which Courtney is, or if you're in a Super Bowl playoff pool, which we were, and
you're this guy.
Yeah. He was ahead last week, and he picked the Bucs. So that means Andy won the CBS Our Madness playoff pool.
But it's not just because I picked the Bucs. I mean, if the Bucs lost, I would have been in second place.
Right. It was all down to
that. It just happens to be that I know how to pick them, shall we say, because I'm 11-2. Yep. And the only reason I lost 2, and obviously you could say, you're just saying that because you lost, but this is God's honest truth, swear in a Bible if I had one. The day of those 2 games that I lost, I heard some stupid NFL commentator say something, and I was like, oh, that's a good point. And I switched to the team that lost.
Because if I listened to the commentators.
Right. If I would have stuck with my original picks, I would have had a perfect playoff season into the Super Bowl. But I'll take 11-2 because I stand alone at the top of the heap.
You won.
And you were third.
Andy wins. Andy wins. Yes, I took third, but
that's better than fantasy.
Yeah, well, we've hashed that enough.
That's right.
So with Super Bowl being over, we don't have to talk football until next season.
So, I mean, we might touch on the draft.
Well, that and the fact that that Dak, apparently they released this interesting thing in the Cowboys, and it was a video, and guess who didn't even make the cut? They accidentally left him out of the video. And
out of the video.
Yeah, and that's made a lot of waves down in Dallas. So you might want to check your Dallas team.
I will say I saw a meme that I can laugh at my own team that I'm a fan of, the Cowboys. And there was a meme that said, easy way to guarantee a team never plays in the Super Bowl at their own stadium, always hosted in Dallas. I was like, when did the Cowboys become the butt of the jokes of the NFC East? Because I'm sorry,
25 years ago it started.
It's still bullshit. It's still the Redskins. I'm sorry, Washington. Washington to me, out of the NFC East, is always bottom of the barrel. I don't give a crap that they made the wild card this year because they immediately got eliminated.
Yeah.
To me, they're always number 4.
Uh-huh.
Whatever.
Well, and yet they made the playoffs.
Shut up.
Yep. So
Anyhow,
instead of with football being over, let's see, what is today? Oh, it's Wednesday. Wednesday.
it's new comic day.
Exactly. What did the boys get?
What did the boy? We made our trek to the comic shop. I went before I went to a doctor to get my second shingle shot. I know somebody my age should not be getting a shingle shot. I only look like I'm 30, but I'm at the age where you should get one.
You're Terry Bradshaw's age, which is what he gets paid to talk about it.
That's right. So what did the boys get? Well, let's find out. Boom. First off, looks like Dennis picked up Wolverine Black, White, and Blood.
I think I'm going to wait till the next issue, and then I'll probably sit down and read them, and then maybe we'll do a review on them. We'll find out.
So how many issues is this thing? Because it's not monthly.
It's just a mini series.
Ongoing.
I don't know if it's a 4 or 6. So I'll find out when number 4 comes out, and then I'll probably read it. Because if I didn't like it, then I might not pick him up, and I know I kind of have to pick up Wolverine. So hopefully it's good.
Because he's in the X family.
He is. He's one of my X dudes.
Well, this is one of mine. We're going just back and forth. Out of all the future state stuff that comes out, I have been getting Justice League. Once again, I buy stuff more for the art, and if the story's good, I'll keep doing it. I like Robson Roca's artwork, so that's why I got it. I think it's pretty cool. I do like what they're doing with it. So, I think this is it. I think there's only 2 issues of this anyhow. So I'll read this. I like the cover too. I think that cover's pretty snazzy. Snazzicles. Oh, another one of mine, Dark Detective. Love Dan Moore's artwork ever since I discovered it on Klaus at Boom Studios, and he did Power Rangers, which I bought for a while because of his art. The storyline's pretty good. Right here, this is Bruce Wayne, who was supposed to be dead. Oh, spoiler alert. So then who's this guy? Well, you'll have to read it to find out.
I don't know. I'm not picking up. You just spoiled it.
But I do like I said, the artwork alone has me sold. It's got a nice grifter backup story. I like the art in that as well. I'm blanking on who drew it now. So, oh well, sue me. But if you're a fan of Batman, it is a different take. Well, I could spoil more about the deal with Bruce Wayne here, but I'm not going to. Oh, this is a Dennis book. Well, actually, I'm done for the week. I only bought 2 books. So the rest are Dennis's pickups. If you know
Voyager.
Dennis.
It's Star Trek.
It's Star Trek.
And,
It's
7 of 9's always good.
It's Janeway, right?
Yep. Yep. It's solid. 7's Reckoning. So, yeah, that's a good one. We've got Darth Vader. I've got Darth Vader. Picking up on that. That story's been solid. So I'm liking where it's going. This has been pretty much going to be pretty much an X with a little bit in there, but we got Excalibur,
of course,
which has always been. This has been really a surprisingly fun book. Again, anything with Sinister on it, I've said it before. They're just doing some fun stuff with him, and he's annoyingly interesting and quirky. Let's just put it that way.
Nice cover. I really like Mahmoud Asra's work. He did the cover, not the interior. Marcus Toe did the interior, whose work I do like as well.
Yep.
It's good stuff. Very solid.
Sword has been interesting. I'm kind of liking where they're going. This is the 3rd one. We reviewed the first one, and number 2 was good. So we're just going to continue on. Hopefully they're going to make this really interesting. And yeah, can't wait to see where they're going to take it.
Nice.
And X-Force, of course. Yep. So like I said, pretty solid X week.
Have they double shipped some of this stuff? Because it hasn't been a year and a half since this came out, has it?
For what?
This is issue 17, which if it was monthly would basically mean it's been a year and a half. But it hasn't been a year and a half since number 1 came out.
Yeah, they didn't double ship it.
Really?
No.
So it's been that long?
Yeah.
Long ago since number 1, huh? Wow. Time flies.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
And then the new one that we're taking a chance at, I'm going to read it right away. Radiant Black. So it's an Image comic. It's kind of in the veins of Invincible, Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. It's a new ongoing series. Kyle Higgins, he did Ultraman and Cowl. And then Marcelo Costa So he's the artist. It looks very interesting. He's looks like the guy's kind of a bit of a loser. He's working multiple jobs, credit cards piling up, and he unlocks some interesting abilities. Something happens. So the powers that he gets, though, they don't belong to him. And the cosmic beings who created these abilities, they want them back by any means necessary. So they're coming after him. Interesting little take. So very, very interesting. Well, I'm going to read it and see if it's going to be worthy of continuing.
Dennis is going to try and talk me into reading it after he does. Yep. So let's see if he's successful. If he is, I'll give it a read and we'll, of course, review it.
Unless I think it's terrible, then you'll never hear about it again.
You'll never hear about it again. Never. Never again will you hear about this. What do we got next here? Let's see.
So what we've got next is
our reviewing.
We both sat down and read this. So I was very excited to see it. So I'll talk a little bit about the history, and then I'll let Andy get into it itself. This is Cyberpunk 2077 Trauma Team. Now, Trauma Team, this is actually based off of, it's a video game, all right? But its origins aren't just here. My origins go all the way back. This was a role-playing game. And I used to do the role-playing game back in, well, I think it came out right in early college and stuff. There's an original version. It was published in '88, which for me would have been in high school.
Here's what I love. So this one is Cyberpunk 2077. So you're like, wow, that's really in the future. Look at this. Cyberpunk 2020.
Right. Well, the first,
in 1988.
The first Cyberpunk, which I don't have a shot for, was actually in 1988.
Right.
Second edition is what you're seeing now, which was Cyberpunk 2020, which was published in 1990. So that was this is already the second edition of the game.
Just wait, hold on, just look. Hold on, I want to zoom in on this real quick. This is where we get robbed with what we expected in the future in 1990. Well, you could say there's pistols that look like that.
There are your Mac 10s.
There are no cars that look like this. Where are my cars that look like this? Damn it, we got robbed. We were told in 1990 that by now, we're a year above this. We'd have these hovering cars.
They're hovercraft.
Well, hey,
and we do have one in my draft.
There's not one in my driveway, and there's not one, I would bet, in this whole freaking city. So probably I'm sorry. Not. Now the background looks very, China, Japan with all the lit up signs and stuff. So I'll give them that. But this is bullshit right here.
Well, what do you mean? That was an artist's take of it back in 1990. In 30 years in the future, we should look, Blade Runner-ish. That's kind of what they're thinking.
All I'm saying is, after reading this comic, which I'll get into the artwork side of it in a second, I'm going to feel ripped off if in 2077, I'll be dead. So, and I'm not being negative. It's just mathematically, if I am still around in 2077,
yeah, I hear you.
Knock on wood. But I'm betting they're not going to have that shit in 2077. That's all I'm saying.
We'll have to, we'll have this conversation in 2077 because third edition actually takes place in the 2030s, and that was published in 2005. And then the fourth one is called Cyberpunk Red, the fourth edition, and that sets place in 2045, which is the prequel to 2077. So there's a whole history of Cyberpunk that started out as a video game. So the interesting thing is,
I should be alive in so should you. 2045. That's 24 years from now.
Yeah.
So 75. I better make it that far.
I'll pull my dentures out and we'll have a conversation talking about the fact that game was supposed to be here.
Well, that was reality. Sound like this. You'll be slurring and stuff because you won't have teeth.
But advanced tech will be so good that it'll pick it up and
actually, no. Advanced tech will be so good you won't have dentures. You'll just have total. Well, they have implants now. You just have full teeth implants screwed right in.
So the background of this is it's kind of cool. So this takes place. It's a dystopian future. And its background is kind of for 2077 now. Now we get through kind of the background. So this isn't just like a made up that somebody did. There's a set entire universe that they've created, you know, dating back to 88. It's step into the year 2077, a world dotted with the dystopian metropolis where violence, oppression, and cyberware implants aren't just common. They're a necessary tool to get ahead. Delve into the incisive lore and discover how the economic decline of the United States created a crippling dependence on devious corporations and birthed the Free State of California. Explore the various districts, gangs, and history of Night City. Learn all there is to know about the technology of tomorrow and the research of cybernetics, weapons, and the vehicles of Cyberpunk 2077.
Wait a second. So California is dystopian in this?
California
is Gavin Newsom still the governor?
So we already know none of that is real because, you know, that's supposed to be the Free State.
Right.
Whereas we all know that the Silicon Valley overlords are actually in California.
Right.
So it's kind of the reverse of what we know will happen unless something changes.
Well, you know, you got 60 some years and Newsom won't be around.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the background going into it, so you get a feel of what the book's supposed to be like. And then, Andy, why don't you talk a little bit about the writer, the artist, and stuff.
So the art is by somebody whose name I'm sure I will butcher because I have a tendency to do that unless their name is Dennis Turner or Andy Smith. His name is Miguel Valderrama. Oh, I didn't do a bad job.
Actually, that's really close.
Yeah. So Miguel Valderrama is the artist, the pencil and ink artist, and then the colorist is Jason Wordie. And it's really nice. That's one of the things that, so Dennis bought them and let me borrow them. And I read them over the weekend, and I was really like impressed with this artwork. Everything, like I said, from the guy's line art to the coloring. I mean, the coloring really brings it all together. It's a nice pseudo painterly type style. I love this first panel. This is page 1 from issue 1. Love this first panel establishing shot. Really futuristic looking. It just really sells the scene of it being 2077. This is great panel here. The different type of people and expressions. He really pulls across nicely. Let me see what else we got here. This is not page. This is not page 2. It's page 3 or 4 in issue 1. Really nice layout though, with the guy on a stretcher and then the panels overlapping like that. I'm telling you, man, in 2077, I might not be around, but I'll be looking down on everything going on. And if I don't see an ambulance like that flying around, I'm be pissed. So anyhow, I really like the art. The layouts are really nice and inventive. The storytelling's really clear but exciting. Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about it. I thought the story was really good too.
Yeah, I will say this. So with the background, the universe that they've created that I've played with here and there throughout the decades, it's a really, we know it's dystopian. It's really a gritty kind of a world that they have here. In a way, like Blade Runner, you know, and that's what's like that opening shot kind of reminds me of Blade Runner in terms of how you can see it, you can feel what's going on in the future, and it immediately pulls you in. The artwork and the coloring that they used makes it feel just as gritty as what you would expect from something set. I think from the setting that they have, I think it was a perfect blend of artistic creativity and the story writing. I thought it meshed very well with what they were trying to accomplish.
One of the things I really like about this panel, besides the color scheme of it, you know, you can tell it's futuristic. I love this big monolithic building here. But from an art standpoint, I love how he drew the ambulance here in a different perspective from the city, because a lot of times you see in comics when there's something that's flying through the air, it's drawn in the same perspective, which is fine, but by tilting it like this, it just gives a sense that it's coming in more at a tilted type angle, you know, flying into the scene. I thought that was really cool. I like the design of it. You know, I really like this coloring. These dudes look cool because the medical trauma team, not only are they like paramedics, but they also have weapons because they fly into these hot zones. So instead of having to rely on cops, and you know, instead of like now in the real world where you know at a scene the police will show up and then they might call in the EMTs and everything. Screw that. EMTs are armed here. They don't need to wait on.
But they're not public. So the way it works is you've got big corporations that have it. So they open it up really nicely. You know, this name of the city is called Night City, and it's really cool because one of the early shots, you see the brilliant lights. They illuminate like you know the city and where you can see from your perspective. You see blood and bullets scattered all over the pavement. Like Andy was saying, each panel is sophisticatedly drawn. It's very detailed. But all of a sudden you see two men, they emerge from the cover with assault weapons and they wind up having this battle. They're quickly eliminated, and then moments later a heavily armed hovercraft touches down, and they're specialists. They're this trauma team. And they're called Trauma Team International. And they get to work. And Nadia is the main character, and she's a very interesting character. And, you know, it starts off where they're talking about their pays because, you know, nobody's paid what they're worth, you know, and that's what it's all about.
Some things don't change even that far into the future.
Exactly. She talks about how she knows it's a job, but she feels like it should be something more. Again, because they're paid to go into these hot spots and rescue people. And usually they're never really good spots. So it's a very interesting story. They do talk about the fact that their track record was flawless, so that next year's premium can be beefed up to $200 a minute. So if you call somebody in, you've got to have a lot of money, because the moment you get the call, it's $200 a minute they're charging you.
Right.
So assuming it's a 60-minute, you know, jaunt and however many minutes it takes here, you're paying a lot of money to be extracted.
But that's the company. These guys here are probably making maybe, because I'm sure it'll take effect by then, the $15 an hour federal minimum wage.
There it is.
I'm assuming that's what these guys get. The big court take all the extra money.
Yeah.
That's my guess. So the basic gist with this storyline is Nadia, the main character Dennis was talking about, who's part of the trauma team, goes in with the rest of the team, and basically the rest of her team gets eliminated by this one dude, and she's the only one left standing. So now you as the story moves forward, she's with a new team who gets called out to a scene.
Well, right, but even before that, so this is the cool thing. She has, just like now, if you have something traumatic happen, they won't put her back in the field.
Oh, right. Yeah.
She actually talks to a doctor, and it's very interesting how they're trying to pull information out, like you would see in some of the detective stories and stuff like this going into it. But the dialogue is so really well done that as the doctor's talking to her and she's trying to give answers, things start being revealed, who she's intimately involved with and what his opinions are. And it's engaging. For the least what I would call exciting part of this universe would be the trauma team. This is a captivating story that you really get to know her as a character, and it's just very well done.
Yep. Nope. I agree. And so what happens is they get called on to this other client. They're called, you know, obviously clients that they have to save
for the new team.
For the new team that she's a part of. And it just so happens the client they have to save is the guy that took out her team in the first place in issue 1. So now there's that conflict where she's like, I don't want to save this guy, but she has to.
And here's the great, we don't want to spoil the scene, but the pure emotion that you get, you know, as you're going through it, and you can see her reaction and feeling, even in a helmet and stuff. It's so well done. You feel it and you're like, oh damn, that did not just happen. I mean, it's just incredibly well done. The emotions that running through it, they're portrayed very well. And like I said, the combination of the art and the writing just pull it forward. It's very, very well done.
I love the little things that this guy does, the artist does with, this guy's shot and there's a little chunk taken out of his shoulder. Because, I mean, that's what happens.
Yeah.
You get chunks taken out.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting, you notice he's got a cybernetic arm and stuff. So this takes place. So this comic deals just with the trauma team. What I'm really hoping they do in the future is that they do more in the world of Cyberpunk, because they've got net runners. And if you think of a net runner, think of the movie like Johnny Mnemonic, or The Matrix, where Neo gets jacked in, and so they run data and stuff like that. But it deals they have what they call rocker boys, bodyguards and assassins, computer hackers, which are the net runners, road warriors, the nomads. Street experts, they've got the journalists and reporters, they got mechanics, they got doctors, they got this whole array of interesting characters to deal with. This is just dealing with the trauma team and the way it's set in the corporate future. So very cool. Like I said, they're probably going into it one of my least favorite aspects of the universe. But the story was so good, I really want them to put out something else. I love it.
See, I thought it was really, I guess, because I don't know that, I didn't even know there was an RPG game or any of that until, Dennis told me about this last week. If you would have told me what Cyberpunk 2077, I'd be like, I don't know, some new video game that literally just came out, not from 33 years ago. When he first was like, dude, you got to read this. And I was like, Trauma Team, it's about medics?
He was like, no.
I read it and I was like, wow, this is actually really good. So it was above my expectations by all accounts. So we'll give it our CGC grade. I'll go first. I'll give it a 7.8. I think it's well worth a read. If you like science fiction stuff, it's definitely worth it. I assume there will be a trade paperback because it was a 4-issue miniseries. So you can either wait for the trade. If you don't want to wait for the trade, just pick up the 4 issues. It's still available. But if you like sci-fi stuff, Blade Runner-esque type stuff, I would get it. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Again, not my normal type of stuff that I would read as a comic, but it just piqued my interest. And I'm not going to play the game. The game's got so many issues anyway. Yeah, I've already given up on that. I'm going to give it an 8.5. I thought it was really enjoyable. And then the ending was, I'll just say it was very sudden. It was a very bleak ending. But it's what you expected for something that's kind of futuristic noir type of a setting.
Without giving the ending away.
Yeah, I didn't want to.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I think it's good. But without giving it away at all, the ending, it's the type of ending that definitely leaves you questioning, and it almost leaves it up to you on what happened in the last scene is the only way to describe it without giving it away. And we're definitely not going to give it away, but I thought the ending was really good. And it just reminds you of a movie where, once again, it has this ending that ties everything up, but then still leaves this one question, and the screen just goes black, and you're like, what
happened?
Yeah. So, but it's also not an ending where there needs to be a second series about the trauma team to pick it up. It's not like a to be continued thing at all. It wraps up the story, but it just leaves you kind of to your own imagination.
It's like a choose your own adventure.
It is. It's choose your own adventure.
They went this way or this way, and we just don't know which way it went.
Yep. Basically.
Yes. Yeah. So definitely a recommended read, and you should still be able to find them at your local comic shops.
Yep. Totally. So next up, we just want to talk about briefly Sea Dog and Kill Switch. Sea Dog and Kill Switch, another book I happen to have right here, is an Indiegogo campaign by writer Mark Polton and artist Clint Helinski. And this is number one that we're showing. Number two is on Indiegogo right now. We actually on a show we did Monday, we did an interview with Mark and Clint, so you can check that out on the YouTube channel or iTunes to listen to the interview we did with those guys about the book and how they created Sea Dog and Kill Switch and about the new campaign, which I believe ends in the next few days for Volume 2. It's a fun book. Sea Dog is a character. He is, I'll blow this up so we can point him out. You can probably guess who Sea Dog is. But this dude right here,
Oh, the one that looks like a dog?
Is Sea Dog.
Huh.
And then Kill Switch is actually the code name for a team of characters, and it's all the other guys on the cover. And basically, Sea Dog's a character that Mark Polton, the writer, created with his 10-year-old son.
Yeah, him and Chase, they co-created this character.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, and I liked it right away. So it was interesting. We did a cool interview, and you can go back and on YouTube, or if you're listening to an audio and listen to our interview from Monday. We didn't get a chance to really. We talked about their campaign and their backgrounds and stuff like that. I had just read the book, so we figured we at least want to do a review on the book so everybody kind of knows. I love one of the things they do with Sea Dog. Sea Dog. So what can Sea Dog do? Sea Dog has the ability. He's like he flies. He has super strength, so he's really cool there. But he also has the ability to turn into any type of a sea creature.
Right.
Which is really cool, like Sea Dog. So, and they show it throughout the comic, and it's really cool. The interesting thing about it is he's got an alternate personality, also called Sea Dog, but that is C-W-D-A-W-G.
Sea Dog.
Which is funny. They listed in the comic as he's the world's most famous canine rapper. So my question is, which it doesn't get explained in here, but I love it, isn't he the only canine rapper, or is there a whole bunch of them and he's just the best of them? I don't know, but it's really cool. Sea Dog is his, Clark Kent with the DWAG, and then he turns into Sea Dog, the superhero. And it's pretty funny. It is enjoyable.
It's a fun book. I was attracted to Clint's artwork. Once again, I told them this on the interview we did, where when I go to a campaign page for comics, the first thing I do is look at it, because if the art is appealing to me, that's when I'll read what it's about and most likely back it. And I like Clint's art because Clint's art is a big throwback to the 90s. He's doing a little bit of a Jim Lee, a little bit of a J. Scott Campbell art style, which I think is really cool. And it's a fun, it just reminds you of a 1990s fun superhero team book. So that is what I liked about it. And like Dennis said, the story beats that he talked about as well, I thought were really cool.
Yeah, the story, it took me back. It was absolutely 1990s-ish. Everything about it, even like the guns and stuff, when you see some of the guns that he draws, and I love his art, it reminds me of Liefeld a little bit. It still had the exact, how he always had the oval on his guns at the front end. It was usually yellowish, and it was being same exact type of guns. I mean, you see the stuff, the cauldrons, the shoulder pads.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it just harkens back to, the good days of Image, and when those guys came out, the style is right with them. And I mean, the story is fun to go with it. It was very neat. It's just, if you like the 90s type of comic books, you absolutely you will not be disappointed with this.
Yeah, I would definitely pick this up. You can go to their Indiegogo for Volume 2 and get Volume 1 as an add-on, so you can still get it.
Yeah, Andrew Dahlhaus did he did the coloring, and I thought, I think his coloring pairs up really well with Clint's art.
Yeah, Andrew's a great guy. I've worked with him a few times. He's a really top-notch colorist that's worked for DC, Marvel, Valiant. They really put together a good team on this book. So check it out. I think she's my fave.
Which one?
This chick
Rebel
right
or
here.
Neon?
Neon.
Yeah, so the story's kind of interesting because in his world they have metas, and they don't call them superhumans. They're called metas, and people are trying to capture them, and she's running away from them, and happens to try and get lost in the crowd during a Sea Dog concert. We don't want to give away too much about it, but she winds up, Sea Dog winds up having to go back and change into his superhero ego and attempt to save the day. Lots of things. They do a really cool origin about Sea Dog's origin in here with the little boy who had him because he was an actual dog.
Yep.
And how he's fishing and winds up getting the medallion and how this all transpires. A cool, fun story. The characters that they have in there, Sea Dog is great. Soldier 7. I mean, he's your typical, guy from that era. Rebel, we don't know much about her, so she's kind of an enigma. I really want to know more. I bet they go into it more in the second one. Crotch Rocket, probably my favorite name of a character. It was great, and he's kind of like a Deadpoolish kind of guy, but great name. Neon's a blonde one that Andy likes. She's interesting. Stormborn reminds me of a lot it's like He-Man with dual swords and stuff like that. It's just very interesting. Conan-ish, He-Man-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And Tundra, he's like your big rock-looking dude, but he's like really smart and stuff like that. And he's kind of interesting. I want to know a little more about him too. But anyway, really a cool, interesting mix of characters. A throwback to the 90s. It was an enjoyable read front and back, and the guys were very fun to talk to. They were quite fun.
It's a 48-page book. It's perfect bound, which means it's not stapled. It comes with little goodies. I got my trading cards right here. That's about as close as I can get. So I got trading cards of Sea Dog and Kill Switch, and on the back of the cards it has their power ratings and brief bios and stuff, so that's really cool. It came with a little mini print as well, which is pretty cool. So the fun thing about getting stuff from us indie creators is we try to give extras to make it just as cool or cooler, so you're not just buying in on a comic and you're getting extra things.
The art is pretty cool because it's the Kill Switch team on one side and it's the Graveyard Shift on the other ones, and that's another what he does, another one of his comics. So it was really cool that he put both of them together. So anyway, it's worth picking up. Like I said, you can go back and find out more from our episode on Monday, but you can pick up, if you back the new one, they said on an add-on, you can get the #1, which is what I'm going to be doing.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm going to pick them both up.
I already backed #2, so I'm looking forward to getting it. All right, moving on. A little bit of controversy coming out of Marvel last week with their rendition of a popular character that's been around for 40-some years.
Yep.
She's going to have her own TV show coming up soon on Disney+. Let's just jump right to it. She-Hulk or Man-Hulk? I mean, to me, this looks like the regular Hulk with a ponytail.
So you see every week when we go through the new comics, the current storyline in Avengers is dealing with, it's the Enter the Phoenix. They brought in the Phoenix Force back. She-Hulk gets imbued with the abilities of the Phoenix. And the Phoenix's primary purpose is to enhance who you are. So typically, we've seen her in Jean Grey.
So she's a man?
Ones.
She-Hulk's a man, baby.
Well, of course,
it's a man.
The current creators decided, well, no, we're just going to make She-Hulk look like Hulk.
See,
because
now here's the thing. I don't know if there was I know I haven't kept up with Avengers, but I like Ed McGuinness's artwork, so I usually look at the stuff, that he does. And I know recently there was an issue where he drew She-Hulk, and she was bigger. And even over the past year, she's been bigger and more muscular, but she still had kind of an hourglass shape like a woman, just bigger.
She had curves.
She had curves. She was just bigger. You know, when I was
did a really nice version.
Yeah, when I was growing
big.
up, this is what I was thinking of. This is the She-Hulk basically I grew up with, and Dennis.
Yep.
This is John Byrne. And every artist draws differently. So I mean, look, if John Byrne wanted to, or his editor said, no, we're drawing her bigger and more muscular now, but keep feminine attributes to her, yeah, she wouldn't look like this. She would be more muscular and, you know, bigger and thicker, but still have feminine attributes, I would assume. So with the artist that we're talking about here, whose name I don't know the artist's name, and this isn't a bash on the artist, because once again, I don't know editorially what he was told to do. Because if your boss tells you to draw something a certain way, look, you know, the editor is your boss in comics. And if I'm told to draw something a certain way, I might not like it, but if I want a job, I'm going to do it.
Or you'd be redraw.
Yeah. But the issue I have is, okay, I get it. She's supposed to be bigger and more muscular. That doesn't mean you take away her boobs, because look, there's nothing feminine about this at all, except for the fact her hair's pulled back into a ponytail. But that's not even a thing, because there's lots of guys that run around with long hair and a ponytail. I'm just jealous because I can't. But even her face is so hardcore that it's really not that feminine. And I just think it's weird, and I don't understand. Here's a shot that I did. I actually did this for my daughter. So for my daughter, every year she gets a request, and one year she wanted her favorite female characters from Marvel, and then I always draw my guy First Man in the shot. So this year you can tell, you know, Captain Marvel, Gwenpool, Lady Thor, and She-Hulk. Look, She-Hulk has muscles. She-Hulk's basically a female bodybuilder.
Yeah.
That's green. You know, she was never meant to be that monstrous thing that Bruce Banner turns into, because as I know it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I had She-Hulk #1 from when she came out in the 70s, but she basically back then got a blood transfusion from her cousin Bruce, and because of that transfusion, she changed into She-Hulk, which was basically an attractive woman that was taller than most other people, but green.
Right.
And what I was going to say is I guess the reasoning that she didn't get all huge and muscly back then is because all she got was a transfusion. She wasn't doused with the rays like Bruce was. You know what I'm saying? So I guess my point is this: if the cousin was a guy and took a blood transfusion from Bruce, he probably wouldn't have hulked out like Bruce. He might have just gotten a little bit bigger and turned green. That's kind of what I'm assuming they were going with.
The more gamma radiation, so there have been a lot of arguments and stuff going on about it. It would enhance who you are. So right. I mean, if she got doused with more gamma radiation, she might get a little bit bigger and stuff like that, but it would still take her ability. Same thing with the Phoenix Force. It wouldn't just turn her into that. It's just a Hulk with a ponytail. Anyway, they've had a couple of people out there redrawing this particular panel, and one of them was on YouTube, which was pretty good. The Star Wars girl, she redrew it and made her very big, very muscular, drew her with a full set of female anatomy, and it was really nice.
She took this, and we don't have an image of it, but she basically took this and just drew over top of it and gave her actual breasts in proportion. Because look, if everything's going to get bigger, everything gets bigger. It's not like, whoa, your boobs don't get any bigger, but your body does. No, everything gets bigger.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that if for some reason the Hulk started running around naked, he'd be swinging some massive wood down there because he's the Hulk.
Yes, but since it's Marvel, you will never know.
You'll never know, which is fine. I don't want to know. But the point is, her boobs should be bigger. She does actually have kind of an hourglass shape still, which is fine. I probably wouldn't have done this thing here and probably just shown her, tights, basically. But I just,
if you cover the face and don't even look at the face,
what are you talking
and you
about?
just look at the bite, yeah, just do that. I mean,
It's the Hulk.
That's the Hulk.
That's
I mean,
basically the
that's,
Hulk.
That's all there is to it. They basically are just drawing the Hulk, taking away what makes Jennifer Walters so well loved by her fans. They just basically stripped it away.
Well, and that is it. That's what makes her unique, because you'll get people online defending it, saying, "Oh, it's because you're a guy and you want to see hot chicks only." Blah blah blah. No, that's not it. I'm married. He's married. That is not. If I want to see hot chicks, I'll go get a freaking Playboy. I don't need to get a comic book. Or I don't know. If I want to see drawn hot chicks, I'm an artist. I'll just draw my own.
Oh, look how you drew She-Hulk. I mean, look at Byrne. Even that. I'm going to come to your house and rip up all of your X-Men. I mean, that is just, that made me alone buy that comic book back in the day.
Sure. And yeah, I mean, there she is there. I didn't color this. Somebody else did, whose name I'm actually blanking on because it was a few years ago. But I do like the color job.
Yeah.
But anyhow, no, it's the point. It's like Dennis said, She-Hulk was created for a specific reason. And as far as I'm concerned, the stories that they're telling with her currently could still be told with her looking like she did, basically 3 years ago, which was more like this and more like even this. And you could still tell the story. I don't think if anybody saw this page and she was drawn like I drew her or John Byrne drew her, or just like a woman, somebody would go, "Duh, what a bunch of crap this comic is." Dennis, this Phoenix storyline they're doing, they totally shit the bed, Dennis. She-Hulk just got the Phoenix power and she still looks like She-Hulk. What the hell, Dennis? She can't look like She-Hulk. She got the Phoenix power.
There's nothing in the story that would just explain why they needed to masculinize her.
And Captain America didn't change. His costume just changed.
Right.
He got a Phoenix-esque costume. Black Panther got a Phoenix-esque costume. Didn't Power Man even get one?
Yeah,
they're all just getting Phoenix-esque costumes, but physically they're not changing. So why physically change her?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to make sense, and it's just.
So our comic book friends, we've
it's not appealing.
Everybody's been talking about it, and I hate to say it, but nobody's of the opinion that they like this.
No, and the funny thing is, I looked through this whole issue because Dennis is buying the Avengers storyline because he likes Phoenix.
Yep.
And this is a different artist from the previous. This is the 4th out of a 6-issue storyline, and the first 3 issues were drawn by the regular artist, I believe Javier Garan, I believe his name is. I can't remember who drew this issue, but I looked through it because this is like the last page. So I was paging through it and I'm like, oh, wow, this guy's stuff is very complimentary to the regular artist on the book, as in the styles line up nicely. So it's not that jarring having this issue drawn by somebody else. And I'm looking through it going, man, this is really nice stuff. And I just got to this page and I'm just like, it's well drawn. So I'm not bagging on the guy's art because I think it's well drawn. It's just not a good representation of She-Hulk. And this is the marching orders, I would assume, from editorial going. She needs to be, really huge and more male Hulkish. And once again, if you're working for the company, they're your boss. So, if I was the artist on this book and that's what they said, I would have drawn this. I would have made her personally. I still would have made her face a little more feminine, and I would have, made her boobs bigger to show that she's still female. You never know. Maybe the dude did that, and editorial said, "What are you doing? Change it." I don't know. No idea.
All we know is the finished product, and I know that if this were a book on the shelf and that was the character, I would not spend my $3.99 on buying one.
Yeah, that's the thing. If they put out a She-Hulk #1 again, and this is what She-Hulk looked like, I'm betting money the book doesn't sell. Now, because there's no She-Hulk comic currently, they can do whatever they want. But I think they're not doing any service to saying, hey, we could possibly try and do a She-Hulk #1 again. Not if she looks like this.
You would think with the TV show coming up, they're going to want to mirror, you know, the TV show with the comic books, and they're going to want to utilize like a combination for excitement. If that's what they're going to pair with the TV show,
the thing is, it's kind of like when you go to the movies and you don't buy comics, because when the movies were when Marvel was like movie a year, which honestly this past year they would have done if it wasn't for COVID. My point is, Dennis used to work at a comic shop, and just from other people I know that worked at comic shops, the thing is, Avengers would come out. People would come into the shop and be like, hey, I just saw Avengers, point me in that direction. And Marvel was trying, and you can tell by the costume designs, trying to incorporate more of the movie looks into the books so they could be like, yeah, check this out. Well, when Disney Plus, and they haven't even started shooting the She-Hulk show as far as I know, but next year, because I assume it's not going to come out till next year, I guarantee you next year when that show comes out, she's back to looking like a woman again. Because if somebody walks into the store and goes, hey, I just saw on Disney Plus the She-Hulk TV show, point me in the direction of a book that she's in, and I'm also willing to bet she's going to have a book again next year.
Yep.
She's going to look like a woman again. Because if she doesn't and she looks like this, they're going to be like, nope.
Nobody's going to buy it.
Don't want it.
Nobody's going to buy it.
So on a CGC scale, not of this storyline, but just of what She-Hulk looks like, I'm going with a 2. 1 out of 10, I'm giving it a 2 because it is not appealing at all. That is not what I think of. That's like going, hey, get this new Captain America, you love it, and I open it up, and Cap is, a 100-pound weakling running around in his costume. I'd be like, or if he's, decided to go on a bender and eat a lot like Thor did, Fat Thor. Yeah. Then it's like, I'm not buying that either because that's not what I expect when I think of Captain America. This is not what I expect when I think of She-Hulk, so don't do it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the New Warriors when they were going to come out with that book, and I was like, yep, there's nothing appealing about it. There's nothing appealing about this either. And I'm right there on the CGC. I was going to say 2.5, but yeah. What I will do is that this is just the visual. I will finish reading off the Avengers Phoenix storyline, and we'll review it at some point when it finishes up. But yeah, I was going to say I'm going to be curious to see where this is going to go. But if it wasn't for the fact that it was Phoenix, if this is what I was getting, I would stop spending my money on it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, there you go. That's our show.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us once again. I'm going to pitch, of course, my Indiegogo because
how many days are left?
That's just it. Let me get it up here. Actually, we're going full screen with this baby. You can just hear our lovely voices. It ends in 4 days. 4 days left to jump on my campaign, First Man graphic novel by me, Andy Smith, 64 pages, square bound, fun superhero adventure. Please check it out. I'll pop a link in the description. Oops, I almost copied the wrong one because that's how much of a fool I am. I'm going to pop a link in the comments for you guys. Please go check it out. Back it. If you like fun superhero stuff, give it a look. You'll enjoy it. I guarantee it. 64 pages of fun action. The book itself, you can get the book itself for $25. The program book is $15. Or you can get the whole complete set, which is my cover, Bart Sears variant cover, and the program book for $75. Give it a look. Indie creators like myself and like Mark Polton and Clinton Helinski with their Sea Dog and codename Kill Switch really rely on you guys. Thanks again for watching. You can catch us on iTunes and SoundCloud if you just want the audio version. But we would love it if on YouTube you hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, so you know when we go live. And please share it around to all your comic book pop culture friends.
Exactly.
Exactly. So until next time, thanks for watching. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye, everyone.